So this is actually going to be kind of like an impromptu video, okay? Because I just got done watching G20, G20 is what I've been calling it, with Viola Davis. You got, what's his name? Ramon Rodriguez, Anthony Starr, Anthony Anderson, all of them, okay? So I just got done watching it and I'm like, okay, let me, see what's going on. Because I watched it yesterday, then I fell asleep because it was late. And I ended up falling asleep and I was like, okay, let me go and make my crab legs, eat those while I finish watching it. So, yeah, I was so this movie started getting on my nerves. Out of a five, I would give it like a 2.6. That's where I was with it for a variety of reasons. One of the main things about it was obviously we know this is like a Kamala Harris, Michelle Obama kind of thing going on. Really more so like a Kamala Harris, which, for my own personal political feelings, I just was like, okay, I can put this aside. But some of the stuff was just getting ridiculous. Okay. Oh, I got this red dress on. Oh, I got a cape. Oh, and they gave me these high heels. I mean, they're comfy, but they're high heels. Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Let me go and swap it for the sneakers. I'm like, just swap them. Just say, oh, I ain't wearing those, and then just swap it. You know what I mean? It was just doing too much. All right, but anyways, let me just give you a whole little synopsis of this. So essentially what you have is you have Viola Davis, who she is the president. Okay. Anthony Anderson is her husband. And then she got two kids, a girl and a boy. What you see is first with Anthony Starr, it's this whole crypto thing. There's this lady who meets up in like a Catholic church. Okay. A cathedral. And there's a priest there and he's like, give me the crypto. She's like, I ain't giving you the crypto, my Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency and all this other stuff. And then she ends up dipping, she runs, and then Anthony like kills her or whatever and steals the crypto because he like I think he slit her throat. Y'all, he like kills her in a crowded bar. He puts a full beer right in front of her and just kills her. She did like this. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And then you see Viola Davis getting woken up, okay, because she's in the White House. I was like, okay, so this is what, okay, so she gonna try to figure out what's happening over here and got alerted. No, it was because her daughter snuck out past all of the security, and she just snuck out of the White House. That's what we talking about. And I'm like, okay, so this girl is that smart. I'm like, she's smarter than everybody here because at the end of the day, how is she breaking? Aren't y'all supposed to be having like some serious security? Y'all the top people, right? In America. So I guess I'm a little confused as to how she is just able to just bypass all y'all. But I said, okay, whatever. If that's what we're going with, sure. So essentially, then she does like a press screening or whatever, and then in this press screening that she has, there was someone that was like, oh well, your daughter snuck out, so how can we believe that you're going to go into protect America if you can't even watch out for your own daughter? I mean, so then she was like, okay, this meeting's over. And then she told her family, she said, husband, you're going with South Africa, going to the G20 summit with me. That's in South Africa. Kids, you're coming too. Then daughter gonna have a nerve. Why? What, me? Girl, why? Girl, like you didn't just. Okay, come on now. Let's not make it seem like you didn't just sneak out the house. All right, but anyways. So yada. We go into the Air Force One because we're going to, South Africa for the G20 summit. She's on the plane with this white lady, and this white lady, she ran up against her, tried to be president, and the white lady ended up not being president, obviously, because she lost because Viola Davis won. Her character won. Madam said it. So then tell me why this white chick gonna go and say, well, we weren't friends. She said, now it's cool. We're friends again. And the Viola Davis said, well, we were always friends, even when we were. I said, okay. So this lady, she's on some other stuff. Immediately when I first saw it, I said, okay, she's on some other stuff because why would you say like, oh, well, we ain't friends anymore? Okay. So I was like, nah, you can't trust her. But whatever. So yada, yada, yada. We then skip ahead. So, you know how I said Anthony, he went and killed that one chick, took her crypto money and took a little crypto wallet and all that other stuff. So tell me why. because we got two leaks. We ended up finding that chick is a leak, and then there was another dude. He was a leak as well. I think did he end up dying? He ended up dying. But anyways, so he found out he was a leak too, because essentially, Anthony and his whole crew of people. So his whole crew of people is now like an extra security layer to protect all these world leaders, but they're not good people anyways. Okay, they're the bad guys. So essentially what ends up happening is there all these leaders, some of these people die, quite a few people die, but some of these other leaders, they get captured. Okay, Viola Davis, her top secret service guy, which is played by Ramon Rodriguez, who killed it there. Okay, Mr. Will Trent himself killed it. So Viola is with the Chinese president, some lady, with this British guy, with this white chick. I don't know, maybe was she Indian? Whatever. And then with her Secret Service person, and then it's her, of course. And they're all trying to like survive. Okay. So essentially what Anthony's plan is, it's okay, I want all these world leaders. One, I got my little crypto bucks. And I want all these world leaders to go and say like like these phrases or whatever. So essentially the AI algorithm won't like find deception or whatever. Long story short, he has them go and say this stuff so that they could just like do deep fakes and all the other stuff so it could bring up his money. I'm like, dude, you already got millions, hundreds of millions. And then I believe he even got billions, like tens of billions. I'm like, what do you need her for? Like, after all these other presidents did what they did, and mind you, Anthony does not care about killing him. Okay. But, anyways, after all these other presidents did what they did, I'm like, what do you need her for? You're already at over $1 billion. It was like $10 billion, I believe, at the time. I'm like, do you really need her? Oh, I need her. Cause she's going to solidify the plan. I need her. No, you don't. Anyways, but then we seen another point where you see Viola, y'all. Even before we even got to South Africa, Viola Davis was doing like some judo with Will Trent. The guy Ramon, her Secret Service guy. Y'all, these camera angles. They had the camera like when the flip was about to happen. They put it like this on the feet, and I was like, okay, this ain't her. Okay, I'm not expecting John Wick here. Okay, but I'm like, come on now, this you ain't doing any of this. But okay, sure. So then, anyways, now we're jumping back to where we were. Okay, so they're trying to go in and out, try to figure out, ooh, what can we do, and yada yada yada, all this other stuff that's going on. Okay, they hide in the elevator shaft or whatever. They go at the top, and you see Viola Davis. She's whooping arse, and she wow 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 wow, all this other stuff, right? So she's like so bad arse, right? There's a scene that gets me, and this is a whole rant, y'all. There's a scene that gets me because she's so, because she served, she's a veteran and all this other stuff, and she had to work twice as hard. And yes, it's something that Black people we've heard all our life. But with this, I'm gonna get into it because I'm getting ahead of myself. But anyways, at the scene that I'm talking about right now, you see Viola Davis, and they're in a kitchen, right? And she's like, "Oh my God, these are all these other hostages, these world leaders, and yada yada. Let me go over there and help them." And Will Trent, he said, my job," he said, "no disrespect, but my job is to protect you, and that's it. No shade, but they ain't my responsibility. You are." She's like, "Well, I'm gonna go over there anyways." And he was like, "Well, I guess I just gotta follow you." So I'm like, "Okay." So then she goes over there, or I guess, they go over there, whatever. They whoop arse, all this other stuff. And there's these two African people, so male and female. There's a scene where later on they are whooping some booty, okay? And the son, he's like, "Oh my goodness, you guys are from," I was gonna say, "You guys are from Wakanda." But that essentially is what he says. But anyways, in this other scene, in this kitchen scene that we got going on, where she's trying to save these hostages, she is over here like, she's like, "Bow, bow, bow, bow," whatever, right? And then she goes and she has a gun, but she just like punches, wounds this guy, one of the bad guys, right? And then I'm like, didn't all your training say you supposed to kill these people? I mean, they have no issue with killing you, so you kill them. I just seen you kill about 3 or 5 people earlier. I'm like, am I tripping? What are we even talking about here? So then, or wound them or whatever. But we seen about 5 people die earlier. So I'm like, okay, girl. Okay. So then she goes and she just wounds this guy. And then Will Trent, he sees that this guy's waking up. He's like, ooh, wow, that was a nice nap. Oh, shoot. The president left me alive. Okay, let me go and kill her. So then Will Trent comes and he just goop. And then he takes a bullet right here. And then she's like, oh, I can't believe you got shot. I'm thinking, one, why do you not have a bulletproof vest on? I don't get that. Where's your vest? One. And two, why did she leave this dude alive? Because if you wouldn't have left him alive, then he would not have gotten shot. I said, okay, whatever. So then we skip to a scene where we are in a parking garage because they had to get the Beast, which is essentially it's a military grade kind of Bentley or whatever kind of vehicle it was. And they're like, okay, let's get in it, right? And then that's when you find out that both, no, it wasn't the kids. You find out that the husband, he went and he got captured or whatever. Anthony said, I'm gonna beat him up to death, or I'm gonna just straight up kill him, whatever. And then Viola's like, oh, no. And they already know the location of their children and all that other stuff. So then she's like, okay, here's my location. Gives the exact location. I'm like, really, girl? And then like I said, she's with like this Chinese lady and this other white lady and this British dude. He's over here panicking like crazy. And then the Chinese lady, she was like, yeah, I gave up the location that I'm in. You guys go to free, you guys have to get out of here. And the Chinese lady was like, yeah, I ain't staying down here with you. You crazy. I said, y'all, really? But anyways, so some crazy ish happens. Okay. So essentially, y'all, this is so crazy. Okay. So essentially, her bodyguard or her Secret Service dude, he is like almost passed out. I think he actually did pass out a little bit because of the wound and all that. He gets in the car and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna stay here. So it's the other world leaders and him. Okay, so you have the Chinese lady, the white lady, the British dude, and then you have him, and they were all in the vehicle and the Beast, and she just waiting there waiting for Anthony. Like, okay. So then Secret Service dude wakes up. He was like, where's the president? And the dude was like, because the British dude was driving, he was like, I'm following orders. He was like, ooh, opened up the door and jumped out. I'm like, oh, dude, you ain't okay, let's just keep it going. And then some dude came out of nowhere, one of the dudes that trade who were, a leak, and they were a trader. And he was over here like, yeah, I'm gonna get you whatever. And then Will, I think he stabbed him in the neck or something. He killed him. Okay. He was like, man, don't do my job for me. And then she was like, okay, right? You're good, jarhead. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay, this is how we doing it. I don't know. It was just like, I don't know. I just felt like some of it should have been like there was comedy, but it wasn't as comedic as it should have been. Like I felt like it could have been more comedic, but it was taking itself a little too seriously. And I was just like, I don't know. But anyways, then then after that whole scene went down and everything, then they're like, okay, well, we gotta hatch a plan, whatever. Then she starts talking to her daughter on a low, I call it like this, on a low radio, right? And the daughter's like, yeah, mom, thank you, da 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 da, right? And then she was like, yeah, mom, currently my location in the Viola said, no, don't tell them the location because they may be listening in. Then she was like, okay, well, I got a plan. Remember that thing you told me not to do? Well, I just need to go to the top of I just got to go over here and I got to get this thing. And do you know how to do it? Oh, yeah, that's going to be in that room. Yeah, yeah. Just go into that room. Okay, I got to just go to this room. I'm like, y'all, didn't you just say they're going to be listening and y'all telling the whole plan? These are smart dudes. These aren't 10th graders. These are strong, smart people. You think these people aren't going to put two and two together? Where you going? I said, okay. And I'm sure they watched the news. So all they had to be like, oh, okay. Oh, her daughter just snuck out. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. This is how we figured. I said, okay, y'all. I'm like, you know, whatever. This is how we doing. Whatever. Okay. So let's just take that out. So then they're like, okay, yeah, let's go and do this little plan, whatever, whatever. So long story short, we end up in this one area because Viola, she ended up going to her husband or whatever, and Anthony got him and all this other stuff, right? And essentially it's this fight that kind of ensues. And then the Asian lady, because Viola's like, oh, that Anthony gets shot by, sorry, Anthony shoots Anthony, Anderson's character, her husband. He shoots him. Fortunately, he got a bulletproof vest on. But her security detail dude did not have a bulletproof vest on, nor did he take any of the bulletproof vest that these other people were wearing when you should have done that when you killed them. I said, y'all, I said, okay, whatever, just put that, take that out the mind. Let's keep it moving. All right. So then you see all that happen or whatever. And then Anthony's like, yeah, 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 I'm big and bad. So then Asian lady appears and she goes and stabs him like in the neck or slices him in the neck, something. She stabs him in the neck, stabs Anthony Anderson. I mean, stabs Anthony Starr. So the Anthony, he's like, oh, and then he falls to the ground, right? And then it's like, whoa, yeah. So then we're looking over at the white lady that was on Air Force One that she said, oh, well, we weren't friends, or now we friends again, girl, and all that kind of stuff. And then she's over here trying to untie her little ropes or whatever. And then you see Anthony, he gone. I'm like, y'all didn't see this big man. Anthony ain't. Okay, you didn't see this big man leave. I said, okay. That's what we're doing. So then Viola looks at the lady and then she's like, oh. Okay, now I was eating crab legs at the time too. Okay, so I think I may have missed what she saw, but I heard it later on. Because I was just like, well, what's the problem? I'm like this, I'm eating, I'm like, what's the problem? Right? So then she was over here like, oh, so you're in on it too, huh? And the lady's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean I'm in on it? What am I in on? You took this crypto wallet. I'm thinking the crypto wallet that got tens of billions of untraceable monies on it. I take it too. That don't mean that doesn't mean I did it. Of course, she's like, well, I did it. I was just so jealous of you. And I just didn't believe that you earned your position. And I didn't want you to have it. I wanted to have that position. So yeah, I was like, all right. I'm like, we didn't have to have a whole dialogue for it or whatever. So she ends up taking this crypto wallet. Now, you could have just said, I didn't have anything to do with it. I just took it because I was going to go and give it to you after everything was good to go. And, you could have made up a story, girl. You just, yeah, I did it. Girl, you don't do that. And plus, I mean, it was like $10 billion on there. I take it too. Anybody would take it. Doesn't mean they guilty, but she was guilty. But anyways, so then yada yada yada. Somehow we end up on a roof, and Anthony has her daughter, right? Because her daughter, whatever. But Anthony has her daughter, and Anthony's like, he has her on a helicopter. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna take her. And then Viola's like, not without this. Oh yeah, yeah, baby, yeah. You want this crypto wallet? You can't do it without this. So what you gonna do? He's like, oh, no, you got my crypto wallet. I was like, I said, are we for real? This the dialogue we got going on about this crypto wallet? Like this? Like this is some kind of cartoon villainous stuff? I said, oh, okay. So anyways, So they go and do whatever. He comes out and I think she ends up shooting him or something. Whatever. Okay. And eventually he dies. But he dies or whatever. And then there's a scene where the daughter and her are on this little helicopter or whatever, and it's about to fall over, and now they're holding each other like, oh no. And then all the Air Force, the good guys, they come pull it up with her husband. Like he didn't just get shot. And I was like, okay, he did have bulletproof vest on, whatever. But he wasn't looking like he was bruised and nothing. And I was like, didn't Anthony beat your arse earlier? Did we not catch that earlier on this camera here? Did we not all see it? Plus the G20 summit leaders and all these other. Did we not see this? I was like, you walking like Anthony ain't got a good punch, Anthony. So I said, okay, whatever. But anyways, they get saved. Yada yada yada. Movie's over. Okay. Overall, this was not good. I don't, and this was also something kind of like with Marvel and the whole girl power kind of stuff, like with the Captain Marvel. There was another movie where they did this crap too, and I was just so uninterested in it. I don't like that. Just be a woman and do your stuff, just be a man and do your stuff. Whatever. But this whole I'm girl power, yeah, we're women. I'm like, oh, we're wearing heels. Okay, congrats. I mean, to me, I was just like, with all of that. Um, it was that the fighting, there was a lot of cutting. I don't know, maybe I'm just used to John Wick. Um, and even the equalizer, but this seemed like a lot of cutting. I know some people said that it did look cheap. I didn't see it looking cheap. It looked like it had some money behind it. So I'm like, I don't see that. But just the choreography, the dialogue, I mean, the story is extremely simple. Oh, and that was also another thing, because I was just like, well, do you really need her? Can't you just put out your stuff and dip? Like, you could have dipped like an hour ago. You didn't really, like, before Anthony even seen Viola, I'm like, he could have dipped an hour ago. You didn't really need that, did you? And your homeboys, y'all could have all taken your computers and laptop, tablets, phones. Y'all could have took all that and left. You didn't have to stay here and get caught. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? And then the daughter, she's such a great hacker that she's hacking. Her hacking skills are the best in the entire world. I mean, she beat everybody in the US. Where was he even from? Was he from, like, I don't know where he was from. And Anthony Starr, he been doing that English accent a little bit too much. American, this is what I'm gonna say. He's been doing that American accent a little bit too much. Even I don't know if that was his accent, his fake accent, or if that was his real voice. I don't know, because I remember I heard him in some interviews and I said, where are you from? Oh, I'm from New Zealand. I'm like, mm. He been doing it for too long. He must have. He don't even know what his accent is anymore. I love him though. But anyways, so I was like, okay, we could all just left. Y'all didn't have to stay here. 'Cause, I mean, what did you think was gonna happen? So the whole thing also with Anthony and Viola was because she had this whole photo op. She was on Times Magazine holding a, she was on Time Magazine, and I love Viola Davis. Okay, I liked her in How to Get Away with Murder and all that, but still, and Woman King. But she was on Times Magazine's cover, and she was in like her whole military garb, and she was carrying a kid, and she was saying the backstory of that was that she essentially was on the sidelines the whole time, and this was the first time she really was in action, and that she had to during this time had to actually pull a kid from their burnt up, blown up mother, I guess. And then that's what that photo op was. Anthony was like, well, I was there and you didn't really even do anything. He was like, my whole battalion got killed. And he said, even two of my brothers got killed. So this is personal. I'm like, take your $10 billion and go. What are we doing? You could just take the money and go. You ain't got to do all this. So that's what's going on. But the whole point of what Viola was doing as president was she wanted to have crypto so that farmers in Africa could make some money or something. Yeah, it's not a terrible movie, but it's a lot of girl power. It's a lot of yes, because I'm black, I had to, we get it. Okay, like I don't know. I just felt like that line was a little unnecessary because we already know. You know what I mean? Um, so you had a lot of that. Oh, because I'm a woman, they don't. Okay, okay, it was all that. Anthony Anderson, his character was essentially useless. Apparently him and his wife met because he was a medic, so that's how she needed saving and he helped her. But and the son, their son was completely useless. I mean, he didn't really provide. Not to say everyone got to be, doing a whole bunch, but he didn't really do anything. Oh, and that was also another thing. That chick that was with them, one of the leaders, how I told you it was Viola, her Secret Service dude, the Chinese lady, the British dude, and then that one white lady. I forgot where she was from. But what got me was she was like, yeah, I have to wear these heels. She said, because I'm not as tall or confident as you, so I have to put heels. I say, y'all, who wrote this line? Like, are they in the room with get you right there? What are we doing? So she said that, and I'm like, okay, really? And then later on, um, yeah, later on, I believe she takes the heels off, and it's so dramatic. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna let me go and take my heel off, and yeah, like it was so free, and I'm like, y'all, what? Oh, and then you see Viola. Of course, we've seen it in the trailer where she rips her dress off and makes it shorter because, I'm like, and she was already ready for combat because she had on, regular shoes. And all realness with that other chick, you over here hiding and running, and I would have been like, girl, I'd be like, you come here, British dude, you come here. British dude, take off your socks, give them to her right now. Okay, so she can have a little some protection on her feet. You wear your regular shoes, and we're not wearing heels. Okay, unless you're gonna use that as a weapon, take them heels off. Okay, because we're running, we doing all this other stuff. You saying, oh, my feet hurt, girl, we ain't got time for that. Then you have the British dude, oh, I'm just so scared. Oh, I'm like, oh my god. But here's the thing, the movie was taking itself a little too seriously. I'm like, okay, if it's hee ha ha comedic jokes, but it wasn't. Like there was some moments, but when I say there was some, I mean like 5% of the movie, where there was some moments where it was like, oh, haha, but majority of it they were taking it way too seriously, and I'm like, y'all, this movie ain't okay. Not saying Viola can't be an action hero and all that, but this wasn't it. I'm sorry. I was like, this ain't it. This is not, this ain't it. Anthony, he's gonna pull up, he's gonna come out, show out as he normally does, Mr. Homelander himself, Mr. Banshee as well. I thought he did a performance that was amazing. With Mr. Will Trent, aka Ramon Rodriguez. He did a really good job. And Viola Davis did too, don't get me wrong, but I just felt like the dialogue wasn't good. The stunts weren't really, that wasn't her. Okay. I'm not saying that I gotta like believe everything, but come on. That just okay. And it just wasn't as compelling as I feel it should have been. But yeah, this was my little rant because I was just having a conversation earlier and I was cracking up and I said I gotta talk about it because it was just so ridiculous. The daughter is this tech genius, better than everyone in the entire world. Really, girl? To that, okay? I'm like, what is this? So you have all of that kind of stuff that's going on. Your Secret Service guy who ends up surviving, by the way, even though like he was looking pale. I said, Okay, but he ends up surviving anyways without a bulletproof vest on. But whatever. But he survives, and I'm like, he wouldn't have gotten shot if you would have just killed the. Okay, never mind. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, we didn't think maybe we should. I don't know. Maybe we should have thought about this, but a little bit more effort into the story. Oh yeah, crypto wallet. Well, just take your money and let's go. I just, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I was just like, you already, and then it's like, oh, let's do the deep fakes. But you already got, okay, fine. Yeah. And that's what helped to bring it up to the billion. But I'm like, okay, now you got it. What are we still doing here? What are we doing here? You know, I'm like, let's go. Let's go somewhere. Let's not just stay up here. I'm trying to see. I'm gonna cut it. I'm trying to see what else I'm missing. I think that was it. But yeah, overall, a whole bunch of people died. A whole bunch of people died. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, my rant's over, y'all. Okay, gotta go and watch some US. My rant is over, y'all. I gotta go and watch some UFC, which is on right now. I just have to get this out because I was just thinking about it and I said, this is just so ridiculous. Okay. But let me know what you all think about this. And if you watched it, well, let me know what y'all think.